There is no point in having a friendship with a man.
Well, this aesthetically challenged forehead Rich says that male friendships last because they are based on hedonism. They are low risk and lack depth. Most of them rely on alcohol to get together and tend to avoid any confrontations to keep things kumbaya. But on the low, they actually hate each other and compete with one another. I've never had a projector bring their own screen before. That's nifty. My sister and horsehair. No confrontation. Have you ever met dudes ever? Confrontation is the lifeblood of the boys. And in this case, confrontation and competition are the exact same word. Case in point, she came down in a bubble, dog! And I think this is where the disconnect is. You can't fathom people arguing and telling each other the truth and still being friends afterwards. If one of our friends is busted, we let him know he's busted. Hey, Johnny, you're... Oh yeah? Jake? Well, your humor can only cover the hurt for so long. You, Johnny. And then we're still besties afterwards. Because if you lie through an entire relationship, when that big blow up happens, all that truth's gonna come out at once and you can't survive that. The Guys Friends Club stays on top.
So I don't think men should be allowed in public spaces unless they have documentation.
I don't think they thought this one through, like, at all. Because first of all, who is going to be the ones keeping the men out of these public spaces, which were, wait for it, most likely built by men? Who exactly is going to be the enforcement agents in this fictional situation?
In which at least 5 different women of their own free volition, not under coercion, have vetted this man.
And those 5 women, who exactly is responsible for vetting them? Because in case someone needs reminding, just because someone is a woman doesn't necessarily mean that their character is beyond reproach.
She thinks roads, sidewalks, buildings, and other infrastructure simply popped into existence all on its own. Her ignorance on how reliant she is on the men she wants to ban from society is laughable, because she wouldn't last 3 days without these modern conveniences.
3 younger sisters accused me of essaying. You guys want to hear this story? I've never told it to anybody. So a long time ago, when I was probably 10, 11 years old maybe, one day my 3 sisters told police that I had essayed them. And my mother never hit me until that day. I still remember I was sitting down at the kitchen table just doing homework, and then all of a sudden she came in and just started wailing on me. And I couldn't understand why. But she told me, "You essayed your sisters." Now, I was a little kid at the time, had no idea what that even really meant, but I was like, I've never hurt my sisters or anything like that. I don't know what's going on. My mother flat out told me, she's like, "I'm going to put you on a lie detector test, and I swear to God, if you fail that test, you are out of this house." She bought 4 polygraph tests. She found a polygrapher, bought 4 tests. 3 for my sisters, 1 for me. 3 of those tests failed. 1 passed. I'll let you guys deduce what happened there. When it came time to go to court, turns out polygraph tests weren't even admissible in court. I don't even remember how that whole thing ended, to be honest. It was so long ago. We were all minors at the time, so I'm sure it's sealed. Has no real impact on my life today, but it's something I went through. Now, why did they do this, you might ask? So my sisters went to live with their father, who is different from my father. That man married a woman named Cheryl, and this woman hated my mother so much that she decided, I'm going to hurt this woman by hurting her son. So she basically brainwashed my sisters and coerced them into telling police and investigators that I had done that to them. Well, I didn't. Now, my 3 sisters never could bring themselves to apologize to me. To this day, I have no relationship with them. It is what it is.
This story is wild, and obviously that man has a very good attitude about it. He's probably worked through it for years since he was so young when it happened. But this is exactly why there should be punishment for false reporting. And even when it's a minor and it's an adult that is coercing them into false reporting, that woman should have been held accountable. At the very least, it should have been seen as essentially abusive towards those little girls for that woman to influence them that way. It's really so sad on so many levels because the girls were so young. For them not to eventually come to him as adults and apologize and take that accountability, even though they were children at the time, that just tells me that they were not taught right even after that point moving forward. But honestly, I'm not surprised because that's the culture we live in. You can falsely accuse somebody one day and then the next day just live on your life like normal, while that man ends up having his life potentially ruined. Thankfully, in this case, that man feels like he didn't really have any impact on his current life, but at the very least, it did divide his relationship between him and his sisters, which is still pretty devastating.
I think men friendships last longer because they just accept that their friends are bull bums, molesters, cheaters, etc., etc.
Hey, yo, what the f? Nah, we not about to do this. We not doing this. Okay, yeah, maybe a couple of guys be bull sometimes. Molesters? Molester? Nah, we not doing that. Hell no. None of the guys is on that. And we definitely ain't no bums. We getting to it over here. Definitely no bums on this side. How we jump from bull to molesters? What the?
I think that men need to toughen up, and I think if men were forced to be homeless, they would learn how to be better men. Because that's what made men manly in the past, was having to build houses and stuff. If we just made men be homeless for like a year, I think it would fix a lot of problems.
That would be
society.
so good, especially because we don't force men to do military anymore like they used to. They make them homeless for a year. Let's see how they.
Yeah, make them just figure it out, and make them homeless in a country where they don't know the language, and that way they really have to go through something, and then maybe they can like
be appreciative.
I think she should take her own advice. She confidently stated this fix she came up with works for someone who is unappreciative, and we can clearly see she is unappreciative herself. So she should have confidence in taking her own advice to fix that appreciation issue she's having. Unless, of course, this is a double standard where she only thinks this is acceptable for men to go through this, but not acceptable for women, which wouldn't be surprising.
Wondering if your boyfriend is a narcissist? Something my therapist taught me a long time ago is that if you guys are fighting and he says something kind of mean to you or yells at you or upsets you in some way and you start crying and he doesn't try to comfort.
Oh my God, just put the knife down. This feels scarier than watching a horror movie. I can't even focus on what you're trying to say right now because I'm worried you're gonna cut your finger open. On top of that, I think I have butter knives sharper than that knife you're trying to cut that mango with.
Things I truly wonder about men, number 68 men. Do you actually think of nothing when we ask, what are you thinking?
In short, yes. But the longer answer is mostly yes. You see, men's brains have but two settings. The first, it is a barren wasteland. We are free of thought in between our ears, and the only thing that we can hear is elevator music calmly playing in the background. And the second, we have 50 web browser tabs open, 3 different music genres blaring, and on the second computer, there's a quest for the meaning of life happening. You see, 50% of the time, when we say that we're thinking of nothing, we are just listening and absorbing all that is happening around us. But we're not having to think or navigate any of the information that our senses are telling us. And the other 50% of the time, essentially we're just too embarrassed to tell you what is going on up here. You'll decide to up and leave and take the dog with you because it would just be too confusing to try and explain what we're actually thinking about. You see, men's thoughts can jump from, do fish get thirsty? If the Roman Empire had velociraptors, would they actually be able to take on the British and win? If there was a zombie apocalypse, which of my local golf courses would be best for me to survive at? And also, which one of my golf clubs would I most regularly use? Because, well, I'm very consistent with my 9-iron, but I won't get that much yardage. Whereas my driver, I get much more reach, but I'm probably going to miss the zombie.
Is that a new shirt?
I got it from my new boyfriend. What's this?
That's not for you. This is for my other girlfriend.
4-year goal. My daughter's 14 years old, and 4 years she'll be 18. So she ain't gone out the house by then. So at this point, I want to retire.
I noticed that the lady, you asked her for 5-year goals, and she gave you 4, and you just started licking your lips.
That's just something that I do. It ain't no big
I felt like you salivated on her not following directions, so I felt like you were abusive because it seemed like you really got off on somebody not following directions.
Bruh.
And then I took offense to that.
She felt that he was abusive because he had dry lips. If Sherlock Holmes here was as intuitive as she thinks she is, she would have offered him some chapstick instead of calling him abusive.
I broke up with my best friend because she cheated on her husband. And I think that's a very valid reason to end a friendship, in my opinion. So my best friend, let's call her Bree, and her husband, let's just call him Sam. So my best friend Bree was dating Sam for about a year before he proposed, and that's literally all she could talk about was wedding, right? She was like begging him to freaking marry her because she wanted to be a housewife. She didn't want to work. And he was like working freaking full time to help with this wedding and just help with her future. Like he wanted to buy her dream house, wanted to buy her dream car. Like he was in love with her. So before the wedding, she was like really on point to get her body right to fit into like her dream wedding dress. So she hired a personal trainer, and let's just call him Mike. And she would spend a lot of time in the gym. Like she was there probably 2 times a day, almost about 5 times a week. So she was spending a lot of time with this guy Mike, and her husband obviously like didn't really notice it because he was working full time, like literally working non-freaking stop. So it got to a point where all she was talking about was Mike. It used to be wedding, and now it's Mike. Like all her conversation was like, oh, Mike taught me this, me and Mike went to do that. And I'm just like kind of iffy because I'm like, you're spending way too much time with this Mike dude. And she's like, it's okay, like Sam's always working, like it's fine, like, you know what I mean? I don't know, but in the back of my head I was just kind of like, this is weird. But I never said anything because it's not my place, you know, it's not my relationship, it's not, you know, my boundary, so you do you, okay? And you know, it got to a point where she was going on like coffee date lunches with him, and I was like, this is weird, but she didn't say it was a problem.
Clearly, she was only interested in marrying Sam because she wouldn't have to work if she did, not because she loved or respected him, as the second she got around another dude, she jumped on him. But of course, she says it's the other guy's fault for working too much, and that there is no problem with anything she did.
Let's debunk the patriarchy, at least the way it's described today. It's often framed as men building a system to benefit themselves with little or no consideration for women, when in reality, for most of human civilization, the average man couldn't vote, didn't own land, and had no real say in the laws that he lived under. What he did always have were obligations. Being a man meant being expected to fight and die, to do dangerous work, and to absorb the risk when things went wrong. Extremely limited agency paired with heavy responsibility, and we forget that formal authority was usually about duty and not control. The duty was to protect the women and children of society. And women weren't powerless spectators. They held real influence, running households, shaping values and religion, culture and tradition, raising the next generation. In other words, women may not have commanded the armies, but they shaped the people, values, and social structures that armies existed to protect. A role-based system built around survival. When we flatten that into an oppressor-victim story, we erase how constrained most men were and how much influence that most women actually had.
If you enjoyed this video, I promise you will love this next video. I will see you there.